Their fears would eventually turn into reality on February 6, 2023, nearly 7 months after her disappearance, when the body of Susana Morales was discovered in a wooded area between Drowning Creek and Barrow County. Medical examinations would confirm that she died between 10 p.m. on July 26, the day she disappeared, and 2 a.m. on July 27th. Upon further investigations of the scene, only a few feet from her body, officers discovered a handgun. Although it was clear that Susana wasn't shot, police were certain that the handgun had something to do with the case, so they collected it as evidence and traced the serial number of the gun, and what they would eventually discover would shock the community of Norcross to its core. The gun was traced back to 22-year-old Dorville police officer Miles Bryant. This was a shock to the police officers who realized that they needed to investigate one of their own. When they took a closer look at Bryant, they discovered that he had reported his gun stolen just 2 hours after the Morales family had reported Susana missing. In this report, he said that he accidentally left his truck door unlocked, and that's how someone was able to get inside his truck and steal his weapon, his military ID, and his wallet. Police also noticed that Miles lived in the same apartment complex where Susana's friend was staying, and where she was last seen the previous evening. The evidence was starting to mount up, so on February 13th, 1 week after Susana's body was discovered, police arrested Miles Bryant. He was charged with concealing the death of Susana Morales, as well as for the false reporting of a crime. The warrant alleged that Bryant dumped Morales' naked body in the woods between Drowning Creek and Barrow County, and that he had previously given a false report that his personal car had been broken into and a gun taken from inside the vehicle. Police also stated that they didn't believe that Susana Morales knew Miles Bryant. After his arrest, it would also emerge that Miles Bryant had a history of stalking and harassing behavior, and that he had previous maladministration charges against him. Despite the police previously being made aware of these allegations, minimal action was taken against Bryant. In 2022, around the same time as when Susana went missing, a woman approached the Dorville police station complaining that she was being stalked by Bryant and that he had tried to break into her home. She said that she had known Bryant since the 5th grade, but their paths separated when they got older. Bryant tried to reconnect with her, and after chatting for a while, the lady decided that they didn't have much in common and distanced herself from him. After this, Bryant became aggressive and started to stalk and harass her. She felt that she was being watched, and someone even tried to break into her house, breaking the panel on her door. She also approached a neighbor who had a security camera, and after reviewing the footage, she saw a person who she believed to be Bryant trying to break into her home. Although he was trying to hide his identity, one frame caught him looking directly at the camera. Bryant's behavior was so aggressive and so intimidating that the lady actually feared for her life, and she ended up getting a firearm to protect herself. She reported his behavior to the Dorville Police Department, but nothing was really done about it, and the department only gave him a stern talking to. Bryant was also accused in 2018 of trying to break into a neighbor's house by entering through a window. The neighbor actually called the police, but when they arrived, Bryant denied that he ever tried to break in. After a bit of back and forth, the neighbor decided not to press charges, and no further action was taken. In October 2022, there was another allegation against Bryant, and he was actually charged departmentally for his actions, this time for maladministration. A family had reported their child missing, and Bryant was responsible for drawing up the report. He took 3 days before finishing the report, while federal law requires it to be done within 2 hours. For those 3 days, there was no record of that child being reported missing, and Bryant was eventually written up. It's unclear if the missing child was ever found. On February 23, 2023, Miles Bryant appeared in court and was informed that his charges had been upgraded. He was now also charged with the murder and kidnapping of Susana Morales. His lawyers indicated that they'll be applying for him to be released on bond. The motion for the bond hearing is scheduled for May 1, 2023. The Dorville Police Department has also recently announced that Miles Bryant has been fired from the force.
This is Norman. Norman was created approximately 18 years ago to see him in a music video for the band Interpol. However, where people cherished him. But unfortunately, Norman went missing for 10 years. In 2014, a public sale became listed on iCollector.com under the title Animatronic Creepy Ghoul Puppet from Music Video. After 10 years, Norman had reappeared, and he appeared very badly. Having a devoted fan base, nobody bought him, and he went missing once more for another 5 years, until a YouTuber managed to locate him and purchase him.
You won't believe what this woman did. In 1972, a woman appeared in a Los Angeles hospital wearing nothing but a white dress covered in red liquid. But this wasn't an ordinary woman. Her face almost looked like a mannequin. She did not have any eyebrows, and her face was smeared in makeup. It even gets creepier, because the woman had a kitten in her mouth. She threw it on the floor and collapsed. She was then rushed into a hospital room. She was completely calm, expressionless, and motionless. However, when it was time to sedate her, she lashed out, and 2 nurses had to hold her down. The doctor asked her, "What are you?" She then turned to the doctor and smiled, revealing that she did not have normal human teeth. She had razor-sharp teeth. She signaled him down to her as if to whisper in his ear. She then attacked him, and while he lay on the floor suffering, she leaned over top of him and said, "I am God." She has never been seen since then.
Do you remember the story of the adult woman who was pretending to be a child in order to get adopted? Well, the story is so much crazier than that. In 2010, the Bryant family adopted Natalia Grace, a 6-year-old girl from Ukraine. But shortly after the adoption, the family claimed that Natalia wasn't who she said she was. She couldn't speak any Ukrainian, which the family thought was weird, but she was also showing signs of being post-puberty, meaning she probably wasn't 6 years old. So the parents got a bone density test done on her, and the doctor said that she was at least 14, if not older. And on top of that, her behavior was starting to become menacing. She would stand over the parents' beds at night saying she was just waiting for the right time, and she threatened violence against the 3 other sons. One time she even tried to poison the mother. But what do the parents do? They get her age legally changed to 22 years old, rent her an apartment, and leave her in it by herself. They thought they were escaping a murderer, but many believe that they abandoned a disabled child. There's so many twists and turns to this story, and I do a whole deep dive on my podcast this week.
Here's a face that's been all over the news lately. Usually you'd see a photo like this with the title Murder Trial and assume that they're the victim. But not in this case. 32-year-old Lucy Letby has been charged with taking the lives of 7 babies and attempting to take 10 more. She was working as a neonatal nurse at the Countess of Chester Hospital from June 2015 to June 2016. And this was the time span in which these infants passed away. She was finally removed from the neonatal unit after a senior doctor realised that she was the only common denominator for all of these children. Lucy Letby has pleaded not guilty on all accounts. So her defence team have said that it's just a coincidence that she was present at the passing of every child. They've also said that the passings were natural and not caused by any human interference. The prosecution, however, have presented evidence stating that the victims' lives were deliberately taken, mainly by injecting air into their circulation. Police also supposedly recovered some major evidence from her home after her arrest in 2018. The evidence was a handwritten note, with one section of it reading the following: "I unalived them on purpose because I'm not good enough to care for them." Well, I guess, take from that what you will.
This girl went missing, and when they found her, she was not normal. There was a young girl named Mia who went missing. The whole town was searching, and her parents were doing everything to find her. People from other towns and states were even coming over to help. But on the 13th day of the search, Mia's parents were with a couple people searching some parts of the woods when they suddenly came across a cave. They then went inside and saw Mia sitting there smiling. Her parents then smiled in joy and couldn't believe they found her. But as they got closer, they noticed her eyes were completely white and her mouth and hands were covered in blood.